UFC Paris just recently wrapped up, and I'm going to recap the entire card. I'll start with the first fight of the night and then work my way up to the main event. Mauricio Ruffy, absolutely fraud checked. BSD looked damn good. We'll get to it. Imavov outpoints Borralho for 5 rounds. 11 finishes on the card. Amazing. Paris, normally spectacular. This one, I think, extra special. And also the French fighters going 5-0. Lots to talk about. Let's jump into the first fight. Ladies went after it nice and early. Shauna Bannon, Sam Hughes. Sam Hughes beat the shit out of Shauna Bannon. This was one-sided traffic from the moment the fight starts. Sam Hughes mauled Shauna Bannon on the ground in round number 1. And then she subbed her early in round number 2 after mauling her on the ground some more. Sam Hughes just showed levels. Like Shauna Bannon, very skinny and feminine frame. Not much muscle, not much explosiveness, not much strength. And we saw Sam Hughes essentially just bulldoze her way through her and make it look really easy. So shout out to Sam Hughes for taking out an overrated prospect, but still nonetheless a girl in Shauna Bannon that, had some hype at one point. Now, I think that Sam Hughes is like just one of the capable gatekeepers of the women's top, top 15, I would say top 150, top 23. Top 23. All right. That's really where she's at. She's top 23. She's one of the better ones, but she's not necessarily top 15 caliber. Now, she's in an interesting spot, though, because you have to look at a win here and say, all right, that's 3, or rather, what? No, 3 in a row. That's 3 in a row for her. 3 straight wins. Yeah, she beat Shauna Bannon, who's not that good, but Bannon still had 2 straight wins to her credit. I kind of feel like you could see the UFC considering her versus maybe Ketlin Souza, who's coming off 2 straight losses. I don't think that's an awful idea, especially with Sam Hughes having some grappling game. But you never know how they match up with the fighters coming off losses as opposed to wins. Another one could be Denise Gomes. I don't think they ever fought before. Did she ever fight Denise Gomes? I'll triple check, but I'm 99% sure it didn't happen. New matchup. I like the chances of Sam Hughes versus Denise Gomes actually going down more than anything. You got to respect the 3-fight win streak. For Shauna Bannon, listen, she's a bottom feeder in the women's divisions. She's got some solid striking, but by God, terrible, terrible, terrible grappling defense. Next fight. Let's move on. Andreas Gustafsson versus Fakhretdinov. This fight looks so easy that there's accusations being thrown out that Gustafsson threw the fight. I watched the replay live. I watched it, on replay as they showed the replay, what I'm saying by live, and then I watched it again before the stream. I will say there was a clear look or grimace on Gustafsson's face of genuine pain and distraught. I don't think that Gustafsson laid down. It seems like he took a dive, okay? It's had that vibe. He did turtle up and wilt. But Fakhretdinov had caught him with a good jab, hit him with a good punch to the body, and blitzed him. Even that elbow that was kind of blocked, it still did impact. And you can get hit with a shot while your, guard is up and still be rocked from it. And I think that's kind of what happened to Andreas Gustafsson. And Fakhretdinov beat the shit out of him. 54 seconds. This was embarrassing, man. Gustafsson had built the cult lore. I mean, I was part of the Gustafsson fan club. Many of us became big Gustafsson fans after he absolutely bodied Chaos Williams. Well, Fakhretdinov showed he's a legit. He's not some mid guy that's, had some close wins, farther away now from the Liol robbery. Fakhretdinov, he's game. And I've always thought Fakhretdinov was pretty good, but I just felt as though the gas tank could be pushed here by Gustafsson. Didn't even need to get close to that point. It was over before it even began. And now you have a guy like Fakhretdinov, who's undefeated in the UFC, 7-0-1. You can't really deny him of something major anymore. I feel like the UFC has been like holding off on giving him a ranked contender. But it kind of makes sense. The problem is, though, the top 15 is tricky because you have D-Rod at 13. D-Rod Fakhretdinov is honestly not out of the realm of possibility, but there's D-Rod there. There's Gabriel Bonfim at 14, who has a fight booked against Randy Brown, and he just beat Wonderboy by a razor-thin decision. You got Kevin Holland, who's got a fight booked against Mike Malott for October. He's probably going to have to wait and see what goes down. Maybe stay ready because obviously with some welterweight fights coming up, maybe it could be a quick fill-in, and we could maybe see him versus Bonfim happen. I like the idea of Fakhretdinov and Bonfim. They were supposed to fight. I like the matchup. Or Randy Brown. That's cool too. Him and D-Rod is interesting. I feel like Fakhretdinov's top 15 level for sure, and Gustafsson, not. That's the truth of it all. He had a really great performance against Chaos Williams, but Chaos Williams, oh, I got to spit out this in, man. Almost got it stuck on my lip. Chaos Williams also been, immensely checked as a terribly overrated one-dimensional puncher. But still, I thought Gustafsson was better than this, man. But let's just sing the praises of Fakhretdinov. I'm focusing too much on the negative, guys. Let me take a sip of this and let me be positive. Fakhretdinov was crazy impressive, and he made it look too easy against a guy that seemed to be incredibly durable. So respect to Fakhretdinov. Brad Tavares, Robert Bryczek. Round number 1, Robert Bryczek beat the shit out of Brad Tavares. He nearly knocked him out in the first round. Tavares landed a late takedown that was essentially just survival mode for him, and he survived the round. Smart fight IQ, landing that takedown. He caught Bryczek slipping. As Bryczek was closing distance, throwing bombs, got a little reckless. Round 2, Tavares essentially just ran from him and leg kicked him the entire time. So I thought Tavares could have got round 2, but definitely could have went towards Bryczek, who was pushing the pace, trying to punch at least. And then round number 3, Tavares gets rocked by a big shot, some big combination towards the cage. Then Tavares, essentially, he goes down as he's getting, smolded against the cage. There's some peppering shots from Bryczek, and the ref jumps in. Tavares was trying to grab a leg, but it was a little bit too late. And he was kind of just sitting there for an extended period of time. So the referee felt like, all right, Tavares, been in the UFC a long time, aging guy, just turtling up. You know what that means. He was complaining about the stoppage after the fact, but I do think he was pretty hurt and he needed some time to recover, which is why he was, turtling up for as long as he did. And then Bryczek turns his career around. I mean, it started awful, right? He goes out and he loses his UFC debut to Ihor Potieria. Potieria looked world-class in that performance. Now he gets some rhythm going, beats Brad Tavares, a longtime staple of the middleweight division. I feel like this is a no-joke win. Knocking Brad Tavares out in the 3rd round, it's pretty fucking impressive. I think about a guy like Bryczek. He's kind of like the wild card of the weight class. A loss to Potieria it's an ugly stain on the damn record for sure. But you can come back from it. It's not game, set, match because of it. A fight against somebody like a Cesar Almeida isn't crazy. I mean, you could even consider giving him the winner of Andre Petrowski and Cam Rouston. I think those type of matchups make sense. I feel like he's got game. His hands are legit. He's got power, and he's a guy to, I don't want to say keep an eye closely on. He's 35, but he's a guy that can deliver some explosive punches and give fun performances. Brad Tavares, I'm assuming UFC gives him another fight. He's coming off a win over GM3. Brad Tavares, Cody Brundage at this point. That's the only thing I got for you. Brad Tavares, Cody Brundage. That's my fuck it of the night. I think it's time that we do that. Brad Tavares versus Cody Brundage. Good win for Bryczek. Next fight, Sam Patterson looked insane against Trey Waters. Sam Patterson's hands are so slick. Timing, insane. Pop, legit. Knockout power. Found numerous headshots and just had Trey Waters on ice skates before the referee went in and saved him. I was fine with the standing KO because Waters was on his way down. He was literally on rubber legs at the point of the stoppage, and he was wilting over. He was soon to fall. Better off get stopped on the feet than get fucking, knocked flat out and then take serious concussive damage, Better off the ref saved him. I actually think good on the referee for jumping in. I think that Sam Patterson is a problem. 4-fight win streak in the UFC, 4-fight finish streak. Dude is silently making waves towards the back end of this welterweight division. Now, of course, welterweight is jam-packed with talent, and it's hard to make, a climb. It definitely is going to take him a bit of time, but I see a win like this. He called out Neil Magny after. Neil Magny was already booked. Nobody on the broadcast said, oh, well, Neil Magny's actually fighting September 27th against Jake Matthews. But Patterson is a guy that could mix it up with somebody like a Neil Magny, maybe a Jake Matthews who he's fighting against, maybe the winner. Those two would face off. I don't think that's like out of the realm of possibility either. That's kind of what makes sense, like a Jake Matthews and Neil Magny winner. Or he could do the winner of Punahele Soriano and Nikolai Beretinikov if they fight early October. I think those are options too. Sam Patterson is definitely on a roll. 4-fight win streak is mad impressive. And if he keeps getting wins, he's going to be undeniable. But to get a shot at that welterweight top 15, I mean, we're talking about it with Fakhretdinov. He's undefeated in the UFC for a while now, 7-0-1 in the UFC. And he don't have a name or a number next to his name. And he's close to it. He's getting there. And he had the shot with the Zaleski fight, but then he had the draw, unfortunately. But it's a bit of a climb. It's a mountain climb to get ranked opposition because there are so many good fighters. Actually, another one, underrated matchup would be Uros Medic versus Sam Patterson, with Medic coming off the big win over Gilbert Urbina. I don't hate that fight either as far as battle of like quality striking. And obviously Patterson there would have the big grappling advantage. Not a bad idea. We'll see what the UFC decides, man. But Trey Waters, rough loss for him here. 2 wins in a row in the UFC. And bad L here against Patterson. He'll definitely still be on the roster, but definitely more towards the back. And he has a tricky frame, but not one of the quicker strikers. A little bit hittable because he doesn't bring his hands up. His hands are down the whole time. And Patterson absolutely exposed that flaw. Let's keep going. Next fight. Kauê Fernandes made it look oh so easy against the short notice replacement Harry Hardwick. Hardwick took the fight on 4 days' notice, looking to have like a sensational moment, and far from it. Kauê Fernandes absolutely beat the shit out of him, destroyed his legs with kicks, like absolutely destroyed his legs with kicks. Got a stoppage in round number 1 from the leg kicks. Hardwick could not stand up. They literally had to wheel him out of the octagon like a fucking wheelchair. And it wasn't even a wheelchair. It was like some type of seat that they had him picked up, and it wasn't a stretcher, but he had to get pulled out of the octagon because he couldn't walk. This was a scary, impressive win. And I get it. You'd be like, oh, but Hardwick's on 4 days' notice and he's a featherweight. The guy still is known to be a game competitor and like brings big pressure and hard shots. Really didn't get a chance to do much. Got his legs chewed apart. Landed a few shots because Hardwick in range can box a bit, but it didn't matter about that. The leg kick game of Kauê Fernandes looked about as good as it gets. I can't think of a guy that rips leg kicks like that. And I really like the idea of rebooking the Fares Ziam fight. Kauê escapes this matchup without much injury. Obviously, Ziam mourning the death of his grandmother, but is he cool to come back in 8 weeks? Like, what's the timeline of return for Ziam? Because if the timeline works, instead of it being at home, Kauê versus Ziam in Paris, I think because you pulled out, we go do it in Rio. Kauê versus Fares Ziam in Rio. Anybody? I love that idea. And I'll tell you this, after this performance, I could see the odds being closer for their rebooking for sure. I really think Kauê's like a one-of-one leg kicker. Like, I really look at those kicks and like the way he attacks the calf, it's elite, man. And obviously Hardwick is not a top contender or, even a top 25 guy at lightweight, but still a Cage Warriors champion and a capable fighter. And he made it look like it was an amateur versus a pro. So impressed with Kauê Fernandes. Now for Harry Hardwick, bring him to featherweight. Let's just give him a fun fight. I don't know, man. I feel like at featherweight, though, he's going to be at a speed disadvantage. And now they've seen the weakness. Everybody's looking at it and thinking, I'm chopping his fucking legs down. Towards the bottom of the welterweight division, Korean Tiger, Ji Young Lee, something like that maybe makes sense. I mean, outside of that, you can't. Muhammad Yahya, who's 0-3. Maybe do Muhammad Yahya versus Harry Hardwick. Yahya is also a victim of Kauê Fernandes. I'm not opposed to that either. Maybe. We'll see. I don't know. Hardwick's going to need some time off because his legs are seriously damaged. But I do think he'll be back probably early next year. I could see him taking the rest of the year off. But who knows with Hardwick? We'll see if they have a card coming up in the UK. Anything like that, I'm down to watch. Good win for Kauê. Looks sensational. Ante Delija I believed. He took out Marcin and Tybura. I felt good about this call. He actually looked better than I even thought. Knocks out Marcin and Tybura in the first round. I watched Ante Delija's entire Bellator career, or Bellator, PFL tour, PFL. I watched his entire PFL career, and I always thought he was pretty good. Bruno Capoloza was his kryptonite. Lost twice to him. Lost to Valentin Moldavsky. And then, came back, beat Jorgen De Castro easy. And then he went out and destroyed Tybura. He's a good addition to the UFC heavyweight division. Trains with Tom Aspinall. He's really big for the weight class. Tall, athletic, fast, good grappling defense. I like Ante Delija a lot. Like, we needed a new phase. Heavyweight is like shit for the UFC right now. And then bringing Delija in just felt right. Former PFL champion. So, like, to me, it's a very valuable piece to have Delija in. And I'm thinking about the heavyweight division, and I'm like, am I crazy for thinking him and Derek Lewis kind of make sense? Him and Derek Lewis, let's say, right? Like, I'm kind of intrigued. Derek Lewis with the big power, Delija, big explosions, and has the grappling. Like, I'm tempted for that. Lewis is on a 2-fight win streak. Let's do that. Now, obviously, there's like, okay, you could give him Sergey Pavlovich, give him a matchup like that and put him towards a real like top contender fight. But I kind of think he needs a second UFC fight against another good name. Tybura also lost to Derek Lewis earlier in his career. So I think Derek Lewis versus Ante Delija is kind of perfect. And I think that could be a really good fight on a pay-per-view, or even, could be a fight night main event early next year, but definitely a possibility. Now, I expect Delija to stay ready, because if something were to happen with Drago Volkov and Cyril Gane, between him and Sergey Pavlovich, those would be guys you'd call up probably. Obviously, Derek Lewis would be in that mesh as well, but Lewis, a little bit on the heavier side, might have to cut down a little more weight, whereas Delija, what was he, at 239 at weigh-ins? One of the lighter heavyweights, not a light heavyweight, but he's like, he's not 270 pounds come fight time, right? He's probably, 242. He was 239 on the scale. So he walks around probably similar to that. Outside of camp, maybe he's 250s. Yeah, man. I think Ante Delija is a problem. Really doubled down in his career, moving to the UK and training with Team Aspinall. And he's coming together. He's a lot better than when he was in PFL. And he made it look easy. Against a Marcin Tybura also, who looks completely checked out, fatter than I've ever seen. Looked like shit in the back, soaked with sweat. Like, he looked half asleep, to be honest with you. But nonetheless, I mean, I'm not taking anything away from Delija. But I think do Derek Lewis as opposed to Pavlovich. I kind of think that's, I don't know, that's something cool. New name for D-Lew, not a rematch. I like that fight. Derek Lewis versus Ante Delija. We'll see what the UFC ends up doing, but you definitely got a legit player at heavyweight. And my God, they cut Boudet. They sent out Rosenstruik. All right, we have Ante Delija now. That's one step. I think we need more heavyweights for sure. I mean, I was hoping Vadim Nemkov would get signed, but he re-signed with PFL. The UFC couldn't come to terms with him. I wanted to see Nemkov in the UFC at heavyweight. That'd be awesome. They probably weren't giving him enough money. I don't know. But Delija coming over, good step in the right direction. The more heavyweights we can accumulate, the better, man. I want more heavyweights. I want the heavyweight division better than ever. It's a weird situation, though, because what if Delija wins like 3 straight? And then he's up for the title and Aspinall's champ? Like, I doubt they fight each other. That'd be a really weird situation. But we'll cross that bridge when we get there. Delija coming into his own. Very impressive in this matchup. Let's keep running. Next fight, Oumar Sy made it look easy against Brennison Ribeiro. Was able to take him down, body him on the ground, threaten from top position. I mean, respect to Ribeiro surviving, even trying the Kimura and hitting the sweep. Back up on the feet, touched up, taken down again, and then just beat on. Got ripped with ground. A little bit of an elbow that was testy, kind of towards the back of the head, but then other ground and pound shots, the referee stepped in and called it. Nobody, was complaining seriously on the broadcast. It was like blatantly illegal. It seemed like a borderline elbow from the side of Oumar, borderline. Now, Brennison Ribeiro stays on the roster, though. We got to keep him around. I feel like Brennison Ribeiro is just a good opponent to give to heavyweights, or light heavyweights rather, that have some type of promise. Oumar Sy looked good. He said he wants another shake at the top 15. Obviously sold bad 3 months ago against Alonzo Menafield. I don't know if he's going to be getting a top 15 shake next, because the Alonzo Menafield loss and then being, Menafield's ranked number 14. I'm not convinced that they're going to go that route. I'm not convinced that they give him a top 15 fight, but somebody along the lines of Dustin Jacoby doesn't seem crazy. That might be it, to be honest with you, with Oumar Sy. Him and Dustin Jacoby is a sensible fight. Now, also, we saw Modestas Bukauskas fight later on in the card. He's a top caliber light heavyweight. Not saying to match those two up. I would say if anybody deserves a top 15 shake, it's Modestas over Oumar Sy, to be 100% real with you. But I do think Oumar is close to top 15 again. If he gets another win, okay, the argument can now be enacted. But at this moment, I think somebody that's close to top 15, but not quite there, would be better. And Dustin Jacoby's the right fight. So him and Dustin Jacoby, I hope gets booked. And I mean, quick first round finish. I don't see why he doesn't fight before the end of the year. So shout out Oumar Sy, making it look easy. This was also the first French fighter on the card. Crowd went insane. Insane. Absolutely loved it. Main card. If you guys haven't yet, hit the likes. If you're new, subscribe. Robert Ruchała versus William Gomis. William Gomis styled on him. Technical kickboxing. Did get taken down and controlled a little bit on round number 2. But William Gomis slip move, slided, touched him up with precise shots, threw teeps down the center, good jabs, decent combos. It was a William Gomis fight. You're never going to be like overly blown away by Gomis's output. You know, he threw 132 shots, but doesn't have crazy power, just has good precision, lands a fair amount, and stays fucking moving. And, you know, he brought a little forward presser to Ruchała, but like there was a disparity in, you know, striking abilities. And still, round number 3, William Gomis got rocked by a head kick. But at the end of the day, dug deep, recovered, and then put it on Ruchała, even gets him down towards the end of the fight. William Gomis looked sharp. He landed some decent punch combinations up the center, and he was attacking pretty well to the legs in the fight. And overall, I'd say it was a good win for William Gomis. It was a technically sound performance where his striking looked clean per usual. It was a simply put William Gomis type fight. Now, he was taking on a guy making his debut in the UFC. Obviously, for Gomis's hype train, it'd be nice if he could finally get a finish and not just like a, you know, stoppage because there was a low blow that wasn't actually low, but like a proper knockout. But I'll be holding my breath on a William Gomis knockout. You know, he's a tactical striker, stays moving, stays slipping, stays sliding. That's just his game. Is it crazy to think that William Gomis could fight somebody along the lines of like Andre Fili next, or even the Ju Sang Yu and Willie Cat winner? Like those are possibilities for him. I do think there's matchups. I was also looking at Morgan Charrier. I don't know, man. Charrier just knocked out Nate Landwehr. That bites off more than a William Gomis fight, in my opinion. Especially a Gomis who lost to Heider Mill and had that close one with Joannis and Brito. So I could see more for, you know, the side of even a Morgan Charrier. But William Gomis around that level. We'll see what the UFC decides to do. I feel like just doesn't bring like must-watch fights. That's his issue, right? He's the Leon Edwards of 145 pounds, like very tactical, movement-based style, picks his shots, slips, slides, and moves, and avoids the, you know, big barrages pretty well. Ruchała in the UFC, I'm not sold on this guy. I told you before I'm not sold. I'll tell you after. I ain't sold. I do not know. I think that a Bogdan Grad fight makes sense. Give him somebody like that, and I think that's more of an even matchup. But yeah, definitely I'm on the doubtful side of Ruchała's game. Good performance for William Gomis, though, nonetheless. Next one, Axel Sola versus Rhys McKee. Axel Sola looked good. Busted Rhys McKee up. Round number 1, he was thudding him with good punches, working good shots from range, a little quicker and slicker. Round number 2, McKee's trying to put it on him. And, like, you know, there were some folks in the chat thinking McKee got the second, but I thought you even give Sola round 2. He was landing better shots. It's just McKee made it a more competitive round. And then round 3, McKee was trying hard. He was coming forward. And he was looking to land. And, you know, you think Sola's getting tired, but he just isn't. He just kind of had the body language of someone tired. And he's thudding shots back. And he's landing good punches. And he's landing good kicks. And he's threatening from distance. And, like, staying moving fairly well. Now, Michael Bisping, during this fight, he made one of the most random comparisons. He said, oh, Axel Sola reminds me a lot of the young Conor McGregor. I could not see that at all. Besides, oh, maybe the stance is kind of karate-esque and wide, but like, I don't see it. I don't know. Do you guys see it? Please let me know in the comments if you see it. I don't see any comparisons between the young Conor McGregor and Axel Sola at all. Sola gets a finish in the third, little uppercut to the body, down goes McKee, little ground and pound, but let's keep it a buck. It's not bullshit. That stoppage was early. McKee was okay. He was on his way up. He was recovering. I think they should have gave McKee a little bit longer. But unfortunate. Rhys McKee now 1-5 in the UFC. And Axel Sola looked good. He was on his way to beating him. But, like, McKee was still in the fight. He was still trying. And I feel, disappointed for the guy that his chance for an emphatic comeback gets taken from. Though, I will say, odds of probability tell me he wasn't coming back. Axel's going down to lightweight. I think that's a good move for him because he's going to be one of the bigger lightweights because he looked like a big welterweight, to be honest with you. Like, he was close to eye with Rhys McKee. He's about 6'1". He's a good-sized welterweight. Now going down to 55, I'm excited, man. I think that Axel has some real potential. I think good fights are coming. Still a developing guy. I'm curious how he fares against some decent opposition. I mean, somebody along the lines of a Markel Medeiros could be next for him. I like that fight. Somebody along the lines of Gage Young. Those are sensible next matchups for Axel Sola, who's now 1-0 in the UFC, won big in Paris. It's a large lightweight with a well-versed game. Looking forward to watching. Still in his 20s, like 27. I want to see what he can do in the next couple of years. I'll keep my eye on him. Not saying he's the next Conor McGregor or anything like that, but there are skills there for sure. Rhys McKee, he'll still have his job. He brings the fight. When are you watching a boring Rhys McKee fight? They'll give him more. But, another bottom of the barrel type matchup, to be honest. Unfortunate for Rhys McKee, man. Let's get to the next one. Fight of the night here with Bolaji and Mason Jones delivering, more than delivering. Delivering is an understatement here. This was absolute badassery. This fight was amazing. Round number one, early round one, Bolaji is dropping hammers on Mason Jones, lightning speed punches, cracking him bad, dropping him, seeming like he's got Mason Jones on his way out as Bolaji gets on top of him. But Jones does survive the onslaught, find a way back up to his feet, and gets himself back into the fight by badly rocking Bolaji. And then Oki's on the ground, Jones on top. Mason Jones finishes the round dominantly with some ground and pound, some submission threats. Mason Jones demands a lot of respect because starting this fight off, it looked horrible. But then the comeback in round number one, I thought was enough to win him that first round. We get to round number two, and striking's getting good. Bolaji lugging some shots. Mason Jones matching it, throwing hard shots. But where Mason Jones separated them was in the grappling, which I predicted. Mason Jones hits that beautiful throw. My God, slams Bolaji. You could hear it, boom, like a thud on the mat. Mason Jones starts dominating, moves to Mount, beats the shit out of him. Big ground and pound from Mount. Bolaji fucked. He's blocking. He's trying to grab hands, but he's just getting pounded on. Then the ref saw enough, jumped in, called the fight. I thought it was a fair stoppage. Oki was getting his shit cracked a bit too, because a lot of the ground and pound was getting through. It wasn't like he was blocking everything. And Mason Jones gets a pretty one-sided second-round finish against power-hitting prospect for sure. Having to overcome some adversity, but it's a positive. Mason Jones has good recovery. Mason Jones on his second UFC run is looking pretty good, man. Obviously, the Jeremy Stephens fight, you're like, oh, but it's Jeremy Stephens. Still, manhandled a prime, not a prime MMA fight in Jeremy Stephens, but a prime bare-knuckle boxing Jeremy Stephens. Handles a power hitter here with Bolaji. Mason Jones is a fun one at 155. Now, of course, he's not towards necessarily the top of the weight class. And, Bolaji wins are Michael Aswell and Timmy Kawamba. Not exactly top flight competition, but Mason Jones is, slowly but surely climbing the ranks, getting wins. Is it crazy to think that a fight against Taco Padilla is next? I know Taco hasn't fought for a few months. He got the split against Jai Herbert, but if timelines permit, I am more than intrigued by a matchup between the two of them. I like the idea of that fight. I think it's a good matchup. I think it's a cool fight. I say yes to it. Right? Like Mason Jones, Taco Padilla. Taco's 3-0 in the UFC. Mason Jones on a 2-fight UFC win streak. Kind of makes perfect sense to me. We'll see what the UFC ultimately decides, but I do like what Mason Jones has been able to do on his second UFC run, and I look forward to more. Very good fight and better finish for Mason Jones. Next fight, featured fight, Bukauskas, Paul Craig. Bukauskas knocks Paul Craig out at the end of the round, a ground and pound elbow, nasty elbow, landed a couple, and then the final one puts away Craig. This was one-way traffic. Modestas Bukauskas pressuring with strikes, kind of smothering his punches a bit, and Craig clinching up with him, trying for takedowns, getting close. Craig got close, but ultimately 0 for 2 on takedowns for Craig. And Modestas Bukauskas, man, you can't pull guard on his ass. You can't play bottom game. He's going to throw big shots from top position. And he started landing some big ones toward the end of round 1. Lands 2 elbows, 3, bam, Craig is out. Round ends, buzzer beater knockout. Craig's like in a pool of his blood, can't get up. Ref calls the fight. Modestas Bukauskas, he's on fire right now. 4-fight win streak. I'm a Modestas Bukauskas fan. I was saying it all week. I'll say it now. I've really become a big fan. I like the fact that he's turned it up. I remember the early UFC run, Modestas Bukauskas. You're like, all right, this guy's pretty mid. Turns it around. 4 fights in a row. And now he's got, what, 3 of the 4 finishes? He lost to Vitor Petrino, and then now he's won 4 straight. 7-4 in the UFC now. The first UFC run back in, 2020 to 2021, it was disappointing for him. But this second run, he's really started to put it together. I really think he demands some respect, man. 6-1 on this second UFC run after going 1-3 on the first UFC run. And I think that with the now 7-4 UFC record and 4 in a row, it's hard to deny that he deserves somebody in the top 15. And I think it's Alonzo Menafield. I think that's the guy to break into the top 15. I think it's Alonzo Menafield. Now, you could see him versus Mingyang Zhang, but I don't know. Zhang coming off the L to Johnny Walker. I kind of think Modestas Bukauskas versus Alonzo Menafield makes sense. They could end up going a different direction and giving him like a Nikita Krylov, who I think he could actually knock out as well. But I like the idea of the Alonzo Menafield test, man. Menafield holds that gate shut tightly. Hard fight, but still pulls through against Oumar Sy last time. And I think like Alonzo, he's easy to shit on. Like, the Walker fight. Against Julius Walker, it was way too close. Then Walker didn't look that great against Sakara. Still, though, he got the win. Beats Oumar Sy, gives him his first loss as a pro. Before that, Azamat Mirzakhanov kills him. Azamat's a fucking monster. I think Modestas Bukauskas, Alonzo Menafield is perfect. And I think my guy Menafield I think my guy Modestas could find his way to get through the Menafield shut gate. I hope so, man. I'll be rooting for Bukauskas heavy, guys. Expect me to be back in Bukauskas for sure. Because I am a big fan of a guy that turns his fucking career around. I mean, the frame that he has is insane. Training with Tom Aspinall's crew, my God. Also, look how shredded Paul Craig was here. That was not the Paul Craig that was in the octagon. That was not the Paul Craig. He retired after the fight, as he should have. He'll just be doing jiu-jitsu and stuff now. I think it's a good idea. I do not think Paul Craig needs to be eating punches, man, or elbows, or knees, or kicks. Like, you don't need to get hit in the head anymore. Let's have him roll some jits. Let's watch him at, the Craig Jones Invitational, shit like that. That sounds better. Modestas Bukauskas, respect on the W. I am very happy with how he won. Obviously, he was a big favorite, but he made it look easy. And I think he's coming together nicely. And I'm looking forward to him getting a proper top 15 chance now with this big win streak and this 6-1 UFC return. Let's keep running. Next fight on the card, co-main event. Benoit Saint-Denis absolutely handles Mauricio Ruffy. And I would say this was an embarrassing loss from Mauricio Ruffy. This wasn't a typical L. This was a man who wilted and broke to a simply tougher man on the other side. BSD was aggressive. Body kicks, pressure into takedowns and control. Mauricio Ruffy was taken down 3 times in this fight, but he was getting pushed backwards for the entire fight. He was getting caught on the feet by BSD. There was fear in the eyes of Mauricio Ruffy throughout this entire fight. He was terrified of the Benoit Saint-Denis takedown attempt, and he literally didn't strike. He landed 6 strikes in the fight. He threw 18 strikes. Mauricio Ruffy sold harder than I feel like anybody in recent memory has sold. This was one of the biggest fraud checks of this fucking decade, if not the biggest. You name one bigger. Off the top of my head right now, this feels bigger. it's not so much that he lost. If he got caught in a quick sub, a counter submission, or caught with a big punch, it's the fact that he offered no resistance to BSD and didn't even try. And he tapped to the face crank, not even the rear naked choke that was under the chin. The comparisons to McGregor are there. They both tap into the face cranks. BSD bodied him, dog walked him, beat his ass. Now, enough of me bashing Mauricio Hoofy, though I think it's fair to be harsh with criticism because of the hype that he had. And, I mean, the expectations versus the reality. What the fuck? Where was the guy that knocked out Bobby Green? Where was the guy that beat Ramon Magomedaliev? Where was the guy that beat even Jamie Malarkey or even James Yantop? At least the guy from the first two rounds. Where the fuck was he? Somebody offers a little bit of a takedown threat and you just freeze? Benoit Saint-Denis also looks sensational, though. Look way better than the Kyle Prepolek fight. Wrestling was insane. Pressure was insane. Will to win off the chain. Benoit Saint-Denis is a fucking problem. Oscar the Grouch, a.k.a. Benoit Saint-Denis, he's a problem. If you don't have your takedown defense on point, if you're not willing to dig to the depths of hell, he'll melt you because he doesn't stop. Now, Benoit Saint-Denis is back in the mix with this win. I had a lot of doubts about Benoit Saint-Denis heading into this fight, and I will take it on the chin. I was wrong. Benoit Saint-Denis is still a game top 15 talent. It's an interesting spot to be in for Benoit Saint-Denis because he just beat the number 15th ranked Mauricio Hoofy. There's a fight against Grant Dawson as a possibility, but there's also a fight against Michael Chandler. And I know Michael Chandler is coming off multiple losses and Benoit Saint-Denis coming off the wins, but still being that he's ranked number 12 in Michael Chandler ahead of Benoit Saint-Denis, I kind of like the possibility of the UFC putting together that matchup as opposed to pushing BSD to Beneil Dariush, who beat Money Moicano as a win over Benoit, you know, or giving him Mateusz Gamrot. I think Michael Chandler versus Benoit Saint-Denis is a battle of USA pride versus French pride. They say the French are soft. I feel like that'll be a cool one to find out the truth. Representing America, we got Michael Chandler, who's well past his best days. And then we got Benoit Saint-Denis, who's absolutely on fire right now. Talked about, having a new head coach and really dialing in. So I did think it was an improved BSD. But my God, Ruffy, bro. Ruffy let us down. Ruffy let everybody down. The expectations versus the reality, my God. I don't even know what you do with Ruffy after this one. Like a little bit of a layoff. I think he really needs a reset mentally. I mean, do you give him an Alexander Hernandez, Diego Ferreira loser? Do you give him a Kyle Nelson, Matt Frivola loser? Like what? What are we going to do? You give him Daniel Zellhuber, who's lost 2 in a row? Like, I literally don't know. Ignacio Bahamondes? Somebody that's not going to grapple him at all. Chase Hooper versus Mauricio Hoofy. Maybe that's the fight. That might actually be the fight. Chase Hooper, Mauricio Hoofy might be perfect. Yeah, this was the tragic downfall of Mauricio Hoofy right before our eyes, man. We use the term fraud check often. This is the truth of what a fraud check is. Mauricio Hoofy got absolutely exposed by Benoit Saint-Denis. Respect to BSD. Keeping that gate tightly shut. And probably setting himself up for a big fight against Michael Chandler. Big win. At home in Paris. Of course, the crowd went crazy. Let's jump to the main event. If you haven't yet, make sure you guys hit that like button. And if you're new to the channel, subscribe. My savage dog lock of the card, Nasruddin Imavov, comes through in the main event of the evening. Now, it was a near perfect win. 4 rounds to 1 on my card. I gave Kyle round number 3, but one of the judges had it 50-45. Nasruddin Imavov was so sharp from distance, just picking at Kyle Borralho, forcing Kyle onto the back foot as well, winning the battle of real estate for the vast majority of the fight, catching him with decent punch combinations. But when he really started opening Kyle up is when he started digging uppercuts to the body as well. And he found some nice body work and then shots over the top. He had Kyle Borralho stunned a couple times in the fight. Not badly hurt, but definitely stunned. Clean, significant shots by Nasruddin Imavov on the feet, and he did it for 5 rounds. Shown 5-round cardio, and as much as Borralho said he wanted to strike with Imavov and he, went to Paris to give a good fight and strike, he was 0 for 5 on takedowns. It was because Imavov's immense takedown defense game, an immense improvement in takedown defense over recent years, that it was a stand-up fight. And Imavov had Borralho backing up for a vast majority of it. Landed the cleaner shots throughout. Obviously, total strikes were close, but the difference was significant, 81 to 66. Unofficially, 89 to 89 on total. But it was the difference of the bigger shots, the better shots, the cleaner shots, the more impactful shots. Those were Imavov's pretty much the entire fight. Borralho did land a couple of good jabs and a few, occasional clean hooks. But for the most part, Imavov was getting the better of him from range with clean shots, and in the pocket would land solid hooks, would land to the body, and then would rip some solid lead side leg kicks, teeps up the center. And just clean work overall for Nasruddin Imavov in the striking, keeping Borralho on the back foot, which essentially limited the entire offensive striking attack, which for Borralho, I feel like his best moments can be when he darts and he blitzes forward and explodes in combination and backs people up and then maybe even times takedowns. But here, he really didn't have any opportunities to do such a thing. Imavov really held his ground, I would say perfect. Held his ground perfect. Beyond, I was going to say really well. He held his ground perfect. It was really high quality technical win. And it's one of those situations where it wasn't a blow your dick off type of win where he knocked him out in the first round, but he technically picked apart a top contender and a guy who was undefeated in the UFC in Kyle Borralho. And I think Imavov now is undeniable for a title shot as far as resumes go. He's got wins over Kyle Borralho, a top contender on the come up, Israel Adesanya, a former dominant champ, Brendan Allen, a dangerous grappler who's a contender, Jared Cannonier, an aging contender, but he was the guy that really busted the coconut of Cannonier because prior to the fight against Imavov, Cannonier was on a 2-fight win streak. Although the Strickland fight may be controversial, still a 2-fight win streak. And fight before that, he beat Roman Delija before Delija went on a nice win streak and then recently got absolutely dog-walked by Fluffy Hernandez. Now, the argument for the number one contender spot is going to be, is it Imavov or is it the RDR Fluffy winner? The reason you would pick the RDR Fluffy winner is an inherent bias towards the fact that they are grapplers. But Nasruddin Imavov stopped 5 of Borralho's takedowns and has shown very high caliber takedown defense as well as an efficiency of distance management. Now, of course, Khamzat Chimaev is a completely different animal on the opposite side that Imavov has yet to see. But that doesn't negate the fact that he doesn't deserve the shot. As badass as the, the RDR and Fluffy fight is to be and how much stake is on it, because that feels like a number one contender fight. And that fight feels like it might even have more excitement around it than this matchup here. I think you have to give an Imavov the shot. The resume is impeccable. If it's, okay, well, RDR wins. Well, all right, the biggest wins are for Fluffy are Brendan Allen and Roman Delija, who Imavov beat first. So it's kind of, to me, situation where how is that not title shot earning? Oh, well, Adesanya, and but he beat, RDR beat Robert Whittaker. Well, Adesanya had beaten Robert Whittaker twice, even though the second fight could have gone either way, to be honest. And he beat Kyle Borralho. You get what I'm saying? Like, when you get into the thick of it all, the most deserving contender, bar none, is Nasruddin Imavov. He is the number one contender in the middleweight division, and he needs to fight Khamzat Chimaev next. Without a doubt. Without a doubt. His resume is, I would say at this point, nearly impeccable. And I think him versus Khamzat is very cool because it's a battle of, obviously a Dagestan immigrant to France, but Dagestan versus Chechnya, which I think carries some cool weight, and there can be a little rivalry built, upon, two Russian, so I guess say states, but really, they're countries of their own, but they're Russian territories of the Caucasus Mountains. It's like, who is the champion there? We had it with Georgia versus Dagestan, with Oumar and Merab, and now we can have it with Imavov and Chimaev, Chechnya versus Dagestan. So I like the idea of that fight being next. I think it's the most sensible. Now, for Kyle Borralho, I don't think all hope is lost. I think there's a fight against Dricus Du Plessis just sitting there. That's a real possibility. Him and Dricus running it, or even the loser of Fluffy and RDR could be next for him. Even an argument that, you could give him somebody like Brendan Allen, and I don't think anybody would be that upset. There are a lot of good fights for Borralho. Going to need a little bit of time, to put some things together and maybe fill some holes, but Imavov was just a better man. Technically superior and great game planning, led to a win at home in Paris for Nasruddin Imavov and a number one contender now. Title shot for Imavov. has to be next. I really thought it was a flawless striking display, and the takedown defense was great. Besides Borralho having some clinch control, it was Imavov doing his thing on the feet pretty much the entire time. So mad respect to Imavov, which capped off in a very technical fight, a star-studded card, an amazing card. This card was as good as it gets pretty much for fight nights. I feel like Paris is bar none the best fighting crowd. Bar none. The Paris fans are the best in the world. Let's go through the picks real quick. Win with the Savage Dog Lock, Nasruddin Imavov. Loss with Mauricio Ruffy, BSD handled. Bravo. I'll take that loss right on the chin. Fight before that, win with Modestas Bukauskas over Paul Craig. Win with Mason Jones over Bolaji. Loss with Rhys McKee to Axel Sola. Win with William Gomis against Robert Ruchała. Win with Oumar Sy over Ribeiro. Win with Ante Delija against Marcin and Tybura. Win with Kauê Fernandes over Harcwick. Win with Sam Patterson over Trey Waters. Loss with Bryczek against Tavares. Obviously, I had Tavares. Loss with Gustafsson. For some reason, I had faith, and then faith was busted with Fakhretdinov. And then win with Sam Hughes against Shauna Bannon. Though I anticipated that fight to go over 2.5. My God, it looked easy. I didn't know Shauna Bannon was that bad on the ground. Holy shit. Sam Hughes is on fire. She might fight Bruno Brazil next either. That's another matchup on my mind. Overall, the record was it 1-1, 1-2, 2-1, 3-1, 4-1, or 5-2 rather, 6-2, 7-2, 7-3, 8-3, 8-4. 9 wins, 4 losses on the card, and the lock of the card hits with the plus money side underdog call Imavov in the main event. I say pretty successful. Obviously, some parlays got busted up with the L for Ruffy and the L on the over in the ladies fight, but things were made right with Nasruddin Imavov winning, and still Ante Delija and Kauê Fernandes came through in the alternate. So that's why you don't throw it all down on parlays, even if you want to. You go for a little sneaky high confidence money line, especially if it's plus money, and that can save your whole night. Imavov, big W, deserves respect, and I think deserves a title shot. I hope you guys enjoyed UFC Paris, and I hope you guys enjoyed my recap show. Let me know in the comments what you thought of the event, and also, if you enjoyed and you have nothing to say in the comments, just drop a W in the comments to boost the algorithm for your boy. Thank you guys for watching. I'll have the Noche UFC predictions out tomorrow, so stay tuned. Hit subscribe, hit the like button, and don't be afraid to share the video if you really enjoyed it. And also, turn the post notifications on. You don't want to miss a thing. Videos, live streams every single day of the week. Moneyline Monday, Contender Series picks Monday, and then Contender Series Fight Companion Tuesday. So it's a loaded week. I'm back on business per usual. I thank you all for tuning into this show. I love each and every one of you savages. W's to all you guys. Appreciate the support. And I see you guys all in the next one. Much love. Peace out.